The number and scope of threats we are seeing is increasing. It's not going down. And I think we're in an environment that we simply can't respond our way out of. Physically, economically, psychologically, as brave and committed as those who are responding to crises are, it's both unfair and unrealistic to put all of that onto their shoulders. We've got to do more. Now, why do I see this? And I've been looking at and forecasting a period of extended turbulence for a while now, because since 2008, I've been looking at 4 interconnected trends that I think are going to keep us in an unsettled state for at least the next few decades. And when you look at how people are feeling about the future, this is data from a World Economic Forum study that's looking at the next 3 years. And you don't really need to worry about the details here so much as 3 of the 4 slices of this pie are negative. Consistently volatile, fractured trajectories, progressive tipping points with catastrophic consequences. Only that little yellow slice is positive. People are seeing this coming. That's actually the transition from the bad news to the good news, which is the challenge of getting people to care about the things you need them to care about is going to get a bit easier. It's popping up more on their radar. Here again from the World Economic Forum, these are the top perceived global risks over the next 10 years. And so as we think about leading in this environment of persistent turbulence, of a time when we have more fragile populations here in our communities in Europe, when you've got more threats, when you've got potential unrest coming from around the world, what are we going to do? We call it forming the swarm, which is a phenomenon we first noticed in the response to the Boston Marathon bombings back in 2013, where we saw a highly cooperative leadership response across the government agencies, but as well as the affected businesses, the communities involved, the nonprofit sector. People worked really, really well together in a way we had not seen before. And in trying to explain that, I dove a bit into biology and looked at how do non-human species achieve high degrees of cooperation. Bees and termites and ants. How do they get these sophisticated outcomes when they don't have procedures and protocols, when they don't have chains of command, when they don't have operation centers and command centers? Well, it turns out what they do have are simple rules and behavioral cues. And we went back through our notes about the marathon bombings, and we found 5 very specific behavioral patterns that helped explain cooperation. We looked at Joplin. We saw it there as well. And several other incidents we went back and looked at and found these very similar patterns. And now we have seen some agencies, some organizations actually prospectively trying to determine or define different behavioral norms that they can use in a crisis situation to increase cooperation, to increase collaboration, to get people to work better together when it matters most. When you get the first 4 right, you can then get to unity of mission. And people really coming behind a common cause, be it to save lives, be it to rebuild our community, be it to address the rising challenges of climate change, be it to make the investments in the services needed that may not be so obvious to support the people in our community, to help them come together. In a world where there are too many gaps and too many chasms between parts of our communities, it's about building bridges between them. And so we see a common future and we see a way forward. And as I say, we have seen organizations now setting these behavioral norms, or ones very similar to them. So in addition to the great technology, in addition to the well-rehearsed and well-thought-through protocols, and the checklist you may have, we're actually thinking about how are we going to behave. And in the research we have done with the people who've come through our executive education programs around leadership, we've asked them within an ICS or another highly structured response environment, have you seen leader behaviors that have improved or degraded team performance? And it was an overwhelming yes in both cases.